All right. So welcome to the Greek class here, and we are going to start with the alphabet. Let's go through how to write the letters of the alphabet here. Okay. So you guys can follow along with me if you want to, and if you like the way I write some of these letters, then God bless you. Use my writing system. If you prefer to do it the way Mounce does, that's also perfectly fine. So no worries there. Okay. So these are going to be the lowercase letters. So what I like to do is for the alpha, I start up at, we're not going to use the whole line, right? Assume that this is the top of the line. And if we were capitalizing, we would use like most of the space up here. Many of our lowercase letters are going to be in the bottom half of the line and below the line there. Okay, so I start here and come up and go down just like that. Okay, so you imagine the ichthus sort of looks like that, except it's more elongated, but this is going to be rounder than the little fish symbol. Okay, so there's my alpha. For my beta, I start a little bit below the line and I come up. Actually, I should probably go a little bit higher since I've got all this extra space. So I don't use the entirety of the line. So more like that. Okay, start a little below the line and come up like that. So that's my beta. Here's how I do my gamma. I usually have an open loop here. Okay, so start here, go down, up. You need to make sure you're dropping below the line, okay? Drop below the line for that loop there. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta. I love delta. Delta is a very pretty letter in Greek. So I start here, I come around, and then go back up. Okay, so down, around, up. So that's delta, epsilon. I go like that. Let me make that a little bit higher here for you. I know some people like to do their epsilons like that. I've just never gotten into that extra loop. I just prefer to do it that way. Okay? So zeta. Zeta's a little bit challenging. Over, down, like that. Over, down. Some people will put a little bit of a loop there. Okay. You do need to make sure you just cross that line though. Okay. Oh, yikes. So that's my zeta there. Eta. Act like you're going to do an N and extend it below the line. Okay. So eta. What comes next? Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta. Okay. So looks like that. Some people will do that. That is, they won't pick up their pen. Oops. And they'll just swing it around. Okay. So sometimes when I'm writing fast, I will do that. So theta, iota. So I come down and just give a little bit of a tail there to the right. If I'm in a hurry, I don't give it much of a tail. Here's the thing. Do not dot your iotas at all. No dotting iotas. Okay? That's an English I if you dot it. And we don't like that. Kappa. Kappa in English, you start up here and you come down, and then you do your other strokes. Greek's kappa is not a tall letter, so it stays on the bottom half of the line. So I do one stroke down and up and down like this. Some people come down and then they start at the top and come down. So you can do it either way, but just make sure that you don't extend the left side of your kappa above that halfway point. Okay, so next we have lambda. I love the letter lambda. It's a very pretty letter. People have some trouble writing this letter at first. I start at the top left and I come down, and then I pick it up, go just a little bit below midpoint, and do that. Okay? Oops. So there you go. I like this one better. So that's the lambda. With mu, I start on the left side, I come down, I come back up, and I basically do an English U. Okay? So line below, pick it up, finish off by doing an English U. So that's the mu. Nu looks sort of like a V in English, right? Make sure you've got a point right here. If you don't put a point there, what's it look like? Looks like an upsilon. We don't want that, right? So make sure that that is pointed. Okay? So, and you're only using the bottom half of your line. So lambda, mu, nu. What? Ah, good. Not the omicron, right? So xi. Xi is also a challenging letter. I'll come over here, and we'll, actually I'll just skip the line. Want to get a lot of space over here. So the xi is a lot like the zeta, except you get an extra loop in the middle. Okay, so that zeta was like this, and sort of a long thing here. Okay, with the xi, we're gonna come over and do that. Okay, the zeta was just one loop. There's two here for the xi. Okay, so again, so sorry, that's a little bit awkward. Okay, so that's the xi. Omicron, well, just write a little o. Okay, there you go. Easy as pie. For my P, I usually do 2 lines and then just a little squiggle on the top. Okay. Some people like to put a little tail there. I don't have time for that. Busy. P. Row, got to start below the line. Oops, sorry, that should go up a little bit higher. So like that, okay? So row. Okay, that's an R sound. Row. Next is sigma. Sigma, remember we have 2 forms of sigma. So for my sigma, I start over here and I basically do like a 6, sort of, but sideways. I'm going to have a little bit of tail hanging over here, okay? In a hurry, I may angle a little bit more like that, but usually I'm trying to to get it more like that. Okay, so that's the sigma. Now the final sigma looks a lot more like the S that you've come to know and love. It's a little bit wider and bigger on the top, and then it's small curl here. I did that just a little bit too big on the bottom. So it's supposed to be something like that. Okay, so final sigma. So tau is sort of like the P, except you just have this one stroke and then your bar. Do not intersect this and go above that cross line. Okay, that'd be an English T. Greek T's do not do that. You don't know how much it hurts my eyes to see people dotting iotas or intersecting their vertical stroke with that sidewards horizontal one. Okay, so make sure that you leave that top line as the highest point. Okay, so tau. Upsilon is sort of like that nu, except you got to make sure you round that bottom. And I like to put these little strokes on either side just to make it clear here that we're dealing with an upsilon and not a nu. Okay. So tau, upsilon, phi. Here's how I do my phi. So I don't like to pick up my pen. So I just start over here. Sometimes I may go up higher like that. Okay. So depending on how fast I'm going. So just one nice stroke, but you do have to extend below the line here. So next we have chi. So what's the chi going to look like? It's going to look like an X. We're going to go below the line here. Okay. So to the right, pick it up, come down. Keep those two legs below the line. Okay. So chi. What's the next one? Phi, chi, psi, right? And psi is going to also go below the line. So think of Poseidon's trident here. Okay. So basically a cup or U and intersect it. So psi, and finally omega. Sort of like a W. Make sure that you're rounding. There should be no points here, okay? Not pointed. Nice and rounded. Just like that. All right? So that's how I do my Greek letter writing. I hope that helps. So let's take a look at your handout here for the Greek alphabet. You should have that right in front of you. Let's just walk through the names of these and how to pronounce them. So repeat after me, everybody. Olive. I'm sorry, not olive. Wrong language. This is the problem with teaching Hebrew. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. All right, so in this chart, I've given you the names of all of the Greek letters, but just because you know the name doesn't mean you know how to pronounce it or how to transliterate it. The transliterations here are provided for you as well. Now, I generally do not like using transliterations with language learning when you have a different script because it can create some problems with you using them as a crutch. But I feel a bit differently about that with Greek and Hebrew, and it's for this reason. There are situations where different publishers asked their writers, because of difficulties with printing different fonts, international fonts, asked them to transliterate into English Greek words and Hebrew words. And if you don't know what some of the standard transliteration practices are, then you're not necessarily going to know which Greek word or Hebrew word is being talked about. And it's really just for that reason that I actually quiz you on the transliteration here in the first chapter. Once we're past this, I won't worry about transliterating again, but I do want to make sure that you know what the transliteration values are. Let me just say a word about transliteration here, okay? The word transliteration simply means transferring the sound into another language's alphabetic script in order to produce, presumably, what the original language is. That is to say, if I take a Greek word and I put it into English transliteration and I read the English letters, I should still be sounding out the Greek word, okay? That's a transliteration. Do not confuse that with translation. So sometimes I've had students on a quiz think that I'm asking for the transliteration of a word when what I want is an English meaning for the word. That's a translation, okay? So transliterating is just putting it into a script by which sounding it out would still reproduce the Greek sounds. Okay, so in English transliteration, the alpha is an A, the beta is a B. All of this is familiar looking, right? Gamma is a G and delta is a D. Epsilon is an E, and it's important to know that this is distinguished from the eta here. Eta is also an E, but it's going to have a line or a macron, that's what that's called, over that letter in English. Zeta, Z. Theta is a TH, so it produces the th sound, at least the way we pronounce it in our modern pronunciation. Iota is an I. Kappa, K, lambda, L, mu and nu, M and N. Xi is an X, all right? That's an X sound. That's xa, 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 okay? Omicron is an O, and we want to distinguish that from omega, which is an O with the macron over it. That's a long O. We'll talk about this here in just a moment. Just a word about how we pronounce this letter. Most of you want to say pi, don't you? Math, fraternities, sororities, all mispronounce it, okay? It's P. So we'll call it P, at least in this class. And it's a P in English. Rho is an R. Sigma has two forms here. What is the deal with the second form of the sigma? That's right. It's a final form sigma. So it's a sigma at the end of a word. You won't see it at the beginning, okay? So you need to make sure you get familiar with both of those forms. So that's the final sigma, okay? Final sigma. It doesn't matter whether the sigma is final or non-final. It's still transliterated with an S in English. Tau is a T. With upsilon, you will see that transliterated with U's or Y's. So if you know the word psychology, okay, that is P-S-Y-C-H, right? What is that word based on in Greek? Yes, it's the word psuche, okay? That's an upsilon there. But in a lot of English words that are based on Greek words or roots, it'll come out as a Y, okay? The phi is a PH, and the chi is a CH in transliteration. Now be careful, because in English, CH doesn't produce the sound, right? It's ch in English. This is ch, ch, ch. So you're going to want to spit on the neck of the person in front of you with this one. Ch, ch, ch. Okay? And then the final, or this next one here is psi. So these are double consonant sounds, p and s, in that order, ps. And then our omega here, which is o. So that's the alphabet here. So let's work on pronouncing these letters again. And again, repeat after me. Ready? Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. All right. Now, let me have you say these at the same time. Ready? Go. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. Excellent. Okay, so one of the things that often happens is when we are so accustomed to the English alphabet, we get in this rut, and we forget that there are some places where we have some massive divergences with our English alphabet. So one such place is when we hit this little sequence, right? A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, right? But and I heard you guys stumble over this. There's that xi sticking right in there. Mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho. That a lot of those really do go in the same order as English. That xi sticks out like a sore thumb there. So make sure that you don't forget that. Okay. Let me just have us. We'll sing this once or twice, and then we'll talk about some of these other letters and their sounds. So we could do this by using the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star tune. So you know how that goes, right? Do we have any good singers in here? Who's got a good singing voice? Because the worst thing is to be at a restaurant and to have a group of waiters and waitresses try to sing happy birthday to someone, and they're all totally on different keys. You guys ever heard that? Sounds like someone's killing a wounded animal. So I just need, I'm not a good singer. I need a key. Somebody want to give me a key? Twinkle, little star. Yeah, that's the right song. So let's sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and then we'll go into the Greek alphabet, okay? Ready? Let's do it all together. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, and chi, and psi, omega. We had to throw those ands there to get all the beats in. Ready? Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, and chi, and psi, omega. And last time. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi and chi and psi omega. All right. Well done. Now, I don't require you to master the uppercase consonants of Greek. Generally, you're not going to see them unless you're reading the titles of the Greek New Testament, or you're coming to major section breaks and you're starting a new paragraph. For the most part, they're all pretty recognizable. So if you look on Mounce chapter 8, you'll see those. Many of those look like the English letters that we also use for our caps. Some of the places, though, where you might just want to be careful and know what you're looking at are these. So with gamma, I'll just jot the capital over here, so that it looks like that. Okay, so we have a gamma like that. Delta. Delta is, for those of you that have been in science, that's a little triangle there. Okay. Let's see, the eta. This one creates some problems for people because it looks like something else in English, doesn't it? Looks like an H. Okay. Now it is where we get our H symbol from, but it's an A sound in Greek. A. All right. The theta, of course, you guys recognize that. The lambda, that doesn't look like an English L either. It's going to be, you'll see like little feet there like that. Okay. So that's the lambda. The xi. The xi is a rather strange looking letter. We're going to talk about how to write these here in just a moment. So that's kind of weird looking, huh? So what does that sound make? Xa, 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 like axe. Okay, xa, xa. The sigma. So we've got our non-final sigma, final sigma, the capital sigma. It'll look like that. And you've probably seen that in some of your math and science stuff. And then the upsilon. This is a little bit of an odd looking letter here. It sort of looks like a Y. Okay. The phi, that's pretty recognizable. The chi. The omega here, that's one that does look a little bit interesting. And again, if you've done studies in math and science, oops, that looks like an alien's head. Sorry about that. Let's undo that. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so doesn't look much like a W symbol here, does it? Okay, so that's the capital O, capital Omega. All right, let's just mention a couple of interesting things here that also might provide some confusion for us as we're learning the alphabet here. The nu here, you see the nu? That looks like what in English? That looks like a V. That's not a V though, so be very careful about that. Okay, you just need to get used to thinking of that as being an N sound. And then the mu sort of looks like an M, but not exactly, because it's going to extend that little that left stroke below the line. So be careful with that one as well. Another place where we get some confusion is with this one. This looks like a P in English, but that's the P sound for Greek. This is the rho, that's the R. How many of you were old enough back when the Soviet Union existed to see that on Soviet athletes' uniforms in the Olympics and in other places? Okay, the Cyrillic alphabet was based on the Greek one, and so we used to say, oh, look, there's the CCCP symbol. Okay, but that's not what this is. It was SSSR. SSSR stood for Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. So that was an R for a Respublik. Okay, so that always threw me for a loop as a kid, and I didn't know what it meant. And then when I learned Russian, it's what I studied in college, I realized, I've been mispronouncing that all my life. Okay, let's see. And then, of course, this omega looks like a W. It does not sound like that, okay? Long O sound, O. Okay, great. Let's take a look at the vowels real quickly. You should have a vowel handout. Let's pull that up. We have basically 5 vowels in Greek, A, E, I, O, U. But these vowels can be short or long, okay? So think in English, you know how we have a long A and a short A. We pronounce our short A as A, our long A as A. So example in English, we could use the word, bat for the short A, bake for the long A. Do we use different symbols for that? We don't. Okay, we use the same symbol for it. That's going to be true in Greek in that the alpha could be a short or a long one, and we won't distinguish it, and the Greeks didn't distinguish it by the particular sign. Now, in terms of pronunciation, I pronounce both of these pretty much the same, ah and ah. I just try to hold this a little bit longer if I know it's long, but for the most part, you're not going to know the difference. So just plan on pronouncing this as ah, ah. So say that with me, ah, ah. Okay, now the short E is the epsilon, and that's eh. Say that with me, eh. And if it's a long E, then it's an eta, and it's pronounced A. Okay, so we can see the difference, and we can also sound out the difference. So everybody, A. Epsilon, eta. Now the iota could be long or short, so that's why it's in both columns. In certain Greek textbooks, you might see the long version of the iota and the long version of the alpha with a little macron over it, but not everybody does that. So you won't always know when the I is short or not. So I tend to pronounce both of these as E. E. So say that with me. E. E. All right. And then for the omicron, which is the short O, I pronounce it very much like the short A. Ah. Ah. So say that with me. Ah. Ah. So you are going to learn, and you may already know this word, for word in Greek. I pronounce that logos. Logos. In modern Greek, they pronounce this as an O sound, so logos. So if you ever go to Greece, don't talk. They'll hate you. They really dislike what's called the Erasmian pronunciation that most of us do who teach Koine Greek, but no matter. And then the omega, we will distinguish and pronounce that as an O sound, everybody. O. So, O. Omicron, omega. So if you paid attention to the word omicron and omega, did you notice that the words micron and mega are in those? What does micros or micron mean? Small or tiny? Mega? Big. That's right. So it's big O and little o. All right. And then upsilon is either long, short, or long. So we'll pronounce them both oo. Ooh. Everybody, ooh. Okay. So those are your vowels. All right. Back to the consonants. Let's talk about the gamma. So how do we pronounce the gamma? Yeah, the gamma is a g sound, written like this, okay? But there is a situation where the gamma can also be pronounced as really a nasal sound, all right? And on page 9, Mounce describes this as a gamma nasal. So let's take a look at this word in Greek here. All right? If you didn't know any better, you would pronounce this as ag, ge, las. Agelas. Agelas. But how do you pronounce that? Angelos. Angelos. Now this first gamma then sounds nasally, doesn't it? It sounds like an N. It's not purely an N. It's not really, and it's not literally angelos. Rather, it's the ng sound. So it's a nasalized G. Ng. Like any of you have any Vietnamese friends whose last name is Nguyen? Nguyen? Okay? We don't really have that sound as an initial sound in English. That's why people really struggle with it who don't speak Vietnamese. Nguyen. We have it as a final sound, or a sound at the end of a syllable, like sing, right? Sing. When you pronounce the word sing, how do you pronounce it? Do you pronounce the word sin and then add a G at the end? Sin? G? You don't, do you? Rather, you're really pronouncing one sound here. That NG is a ng sound. Sing, sing. Okay? And that's what we're doing. This gamma is really a ng sound. And so that's angelos. So this is going to occur when you have a gamma followed by a gamma like this. And then there are some other sounds that we will refer to later as velars. Velars are consonants that are produced up in the back top of the throat. You know where that little punching bag is that hangs down at the back of your throat? Okay, that's the velar region. I'll go ahead and write down the word velar here. Okay, and so gamma is a velar consonant, and when it butts up against other velar consonants, then it's going to want to become nasalized. Okay, so you'll see it before other gammas, kappa, and then chi, and the xi. Okay, these are all produced by causing contact between the back of your tongue and the back top of that velar region. K, g, cha, cha, right? Can you feel that contact? All right. So whenever your gamma comes before, I'll just put a big gamma here, right? Whenever that gamma comes before these, it's going to be nasalized. Okay, so that is a gamma nasal. All right, let's talk about breathing marks, okay? In Greek, we can start words with vowels or consonants. If the word begins with a consonant, you're good to go. But if a word begins with a vowel, then you have to use breathing marks, okay? So what are the breathing marks? We have two varieties of breathing marks. There's the rough and the smooth, okay? Now, the rough breathing mark is going to look like that. So that's a backwards apostrophe. The smooth breathing mark looks like this. It looks like a regular apostrophe, or you could think of them in terms of single quotation marks, one opening, one closing, okay? Now, these breathing marks are going to be used over the word initial vowel. If a word begins with a vowel, there must be a breathing mark, and it's got to be one of those two, okay? If a word begins with a vowel, it must have a breathing mark. If the breathing mark is smooth, then there's no difference in the sound. You just pronounce the vowel sound that you've learned. If you have a rough breathing mark, then that represents an H sound in front of the vowel. Okay? So let's just do a couple of examples here. I have this word. Does that start with a vowel? Oh, can you see it? Sorry. Let me come up a little higher here. There. Does that begin with a vowel? It does. So what you need to know is what breathing mark is going to go there. Here it is. So how would you pronounce that? Apa. Okay. The accent will be over here. So apa. Apa. Very good. Very good. How about this one? That's a P, so who, it's not oopa, not oopa, but hoopa, hoopa. Very good. How about this one? How would you pronounce that? Hooper, hooper. How do you think you might see this expressed in English, an English word? Yes. This word hooper means above. Hoopa means below. You've heard of hypodermic needles? Where do those needles go? They go under. You die of hypothermia, you have too little body heat, okay? You're below. If you are a hyperactive child, you're hyperactive, okay? So there you go. I just wanted to show you some of those cognates. But anyhow, so rough breathing is this way. Give it an H sound. All right. So if you have a capital letter, your smooth and rough breathings will go off to the left, okay? So if I wanted to write apa and start with a capital, so I put that over there, okay? So that's how you would see that. Okay, now let's go to 3.5 in our Mounce textbook. 3.5, here we have diphthongs. Diphthongs. Jot that down here. What are diphthongs? Diphthongs are combination sounds where two vowels together form a single sound. All right? Now, here's the deal with diphthongs. The second vowel of the two vowels must always be an iota or an upsilon. Okay? So no matter what that first vowel is, the second one has to be either an iota or an upsilon for it to be a diphthong. So let's take a look at the diphthongs here. We have the alpha iota diphthong. So that will be pronounced I. Everybody say that with me. I. 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 Okay? Now, notice that iota is the second member of the diphthong. Diphthongs are treated as a single vowel. They form one vowel sound. Okay? They're not two different vowels. These are one vowel sound in the Greek language. So not I, but I. I. Okay? And your example word here is iro. Iro. Say that with me, Iro. What do you notice about Iro in terms of the breathing mark? It's on the second member of the diphthong. Okay? It's actually over the iota. So that's one thing that you're going to notice is that whenever you have a word that begins with a diphthong is a vowel, right? That means the word begins with a vowel. It's got to have a breathing mark, but that breathing mark will await until we get to the second part of the diphthong. Accent marks. We haven't learned the accents yet, but accents will also go over the second member of the diphthong. All right, so that's the first diphthong, I. The next one is epsilon iota, and that produces the sound A. Everybody, A. As in the letter 8, A. So he gives you the word A, which looks just like that, and notice that it has a smooth breathing, and that smooth breathing is over the iota. Okay? So everybody, A. A. All right. Omicron iota is pronounced oi. 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 And again, we have a diphthong beginning the word. Notice my smooth breathing is over the second member. Oi kia. Oikia means house. House. And if you know the name IKEA, I don't think that there's a relationship here, but you buy things for your house, for your oikia at IKEA, don't you? That's just down the road over here too. All right, next we have ow. Alpha, upsilon, ow. Ow. And this is sort of like, sauerkraut and so forth. And the word for he in Greek is autos. So here's the word autos. Say that with me, autos. And notice that my smooth breathing is over the second member here. Now we're getting to the upsilon form. Then we have omicron upsilon. And that's going to form oo. The sound oo, oo. All right, so ude is our word here. Look at the spelling ude, ude. So smooth breathing over the upsilon there. All right, upsilon iota is pronounced ui, ui, ui. So the word for sun is this. And this is a little bit difficult to pronounce because of both this unusual ui sound and the fact that I have what kind of a breathing mark over the iota. It's rough. So it's hoi, hoi, os, hoios, hoios, hoios. Okay, so that's the word for sun. And then we have epsilon, upsilon, and eta upsilon, both of which produce the sound ew, 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 feud, feud. Okay, one of my words here is, and we'll just write this one down. This is the word for immediately, is euthus, euthus, euthus. Okay, remember, diphthongs form how many vowel sounds? 1. So even though you see 3 vowel letters, this is only 2 vowel sounds. Euthus, euthus. Okay, great. Now, further, the improper diphthongs in Greek, these are mentioned in in Mounce on page 10. This is number 2. These are vowels that have a special letter under them. It's an iota symbol, but it's a tiny little one, and it's subscripted. So this is described as an iota subscript. Okay, an iota subscript. These iota subscripts do not affect the pronunciation of the vowel. So if you were to pronounce this alpha without the iota subscript, it would be ah. And if there's an iota subscript, you're still going to pronounce it ah. So it's not pronounced I, just ah. Okay? You're going to see it with the alpha, see it with the eta, see it with the omega. Okay? So these could all take an iota subscript. Pronunciation is unaffected by this. Okay, we've mentioned that with your diphthongs, your breathing marks go over the second member. Accent marks do as well. Now, there are going to be some times when you come across a word that looks like it's spelled with a diphthong, but the writer really does want you to pronounce each vowel distinctly. And in order to do that, Greek has another letter, actually not a letter, but a symbol to distinguish these. So if I come to a word that has what looks like a diphthong, but then 2 dots over the second member of the diphthong, it's not a diphthong, okay? I told you a diphthong forms 1 vowel sound. This is a diaeresis, and it creates 2 full vowels. A, E, not I. A, E. So say that with me. A, E. A, E. All right. So this is used in the word for Isaiah. So you see that on your page here. Esaias. Esaias, not Esaias. Esaias. All right. So be careful here with that diaeresis. All right. I think that's the end of chapter 3 material. And so we will stop there with explanation.